wrist locks, they work, eh? They really do. Where there's a grab, there's an opportunity. Where there's any time that a hand comes close to you, clearly you're not going to be able to wrist lock sharp punches and things like that. But if you can slow them down and get control, there's always an opportunity for a wrist lock. And they're very surprising. If you grapple, if you do BJJ or any of the grappling arts, in some circumstances they're illegal. In fact, in BJJ, up to a certain point in competition, they're illegal. But the most important thing is that they're available. And if someone says to you, you can't do that, that's dirty fighting, you go, thank you. Because the things that work are the things that See, the difference between all the martial arts is nothing more than the rule set that they play with.
Yes.
So when a martial art becomes a sport, you have karate, you have judo, wrestling, boxing. They're all martial arts, but what differentiates them is the rule set that they follow, the rule set that they play by. You can guarantee that a boxer, if he had to kick someone or bite someone or grab someone or gouge someone, he'd do it if his life was threatened. So in my opinion, always there's only one martial art. The only thing that differentiates everything is the set of rules that they play by. Now, with wrist locks, they're illegal in a lot of different rule sets, including things like judo. It doesn't mean judo don't do them. For the self-defense portion of judo, they'll teach you good wrist locks. And I can guarantee that a good judo player will understand how to apply a wrist lock better than a lot of people, even though they don't do it as part of
So they're competition judo banned,
that's it.
But real martial art judo, it's legal.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of thinking, and a judo guy will think all the time, and a judo guy's probably been caught, They do the typical judo grip here, and someone goes, oh, the next thing you know, there's a wrist lock coming on, and they go, oh, I felt that, There are wrist locks everywhere. And if you roll, if you grapple, and you start to focus on wrist locks, you'll start to find them everywhere. Fundamentally, there's 5 angles, 5 basic wrist locks. Mitch knows them.
You showed me them, yeah.
Yep, give us a look. So 1, 2, rotating. 3, that's the killer.
4,
rotating inwards. 4,
and then 5.
And 5.
That way.
You just chop down here, boom, and there it is. And then you pull the wrist in. See, Mitch is making his wrist straight. And they'll do that. If he makes it straight, I'm just going to chop it and then bring in, and you bend the wrist like that. They'll often grab here like this, and I'll just do that as if there's no chance. I mean, if Mitch takes a good grip here, I have 0 chance of making that work. Okay? In a grappling art where you're not allowed to hit, 0 chance. In a self-defense situation where you can hit just a nice palm heel right across the jaw there, and the grip tends to go to jelly. Okay? So we always have that advantage. If someone grabs you, Salsai once actually taught, and there's a famous story of his last ever street fight. Someone grabbed his wrist. He just went down and up and broke their jaw. Whenever someone grabs you, you've always got that other opportunity. But if you wanted to turn this into a realistic wrist lock, you're never going to do it one hand on one hand. So you have to leverage. What is leverage? Leverage is using more and more of my body against less and less of his. So what I'm going to do now is I want to be able to move his hand, which means I need to be able to basically weld it to my body. If I'm turning and his wrist isn't connected, I have no effect on that control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, close my waki, and lock that in. So now if Mitch tries to pull his arm out, he can get it out after a while, but it's pretty hard. In the meantime, if I go here, I go poof, poof, couple of elbows, then what I do is this, watch. I'm going to lock that hand in, squeeze it. Now, to turn his hand from here to here, I move my body from here to here. There. Now, I owe a lot of my wrist lock work to 2 people. One is Frank Everett, my instructor. My first Kyokushin instructor was actually a black belt, traditional Jiu-jitsu. So when you join Frank's dojo, for the first 3 months as a white belt, you had to attend the white belt class, and that included a lot of Jiu-jitsu. The other person is the late, great Professor Wally Jay. beautiful man. He did a seminar at my dojo in Brisbane in the mid-80s, and he is the creator of Small Circle Jiu-jitsu. If you look up his name on YouTube, you'll find some stuff. And he taught me a lot of the principles here. One really interesting thing, this wrist lock, this one, so Mitch mentioned there's 5 wrist locks, and this one here, where you take the hand in this circular motion, is extremely powerful. If I come here and I just do it like that, it has no effect. But you apply Wally Jay's small circle theory, where you actually pull the fulcrum as well as push the lever. So now this happens. You have the small circle going on, okay? And if they attach themselves to you, then I pull the elbow in, and it's really debilitating. What I need to remember is if the back of his palm is lined up with his shoulder, I'll do that, and you get out of it any way you like. Boom. He can twist out of it. This is very interesting. This is why accuracy is so important. If the back of his hand is lined up with that shoulder, he'll escape. Good. If the back of his hand is lined up with the opposite shoulder, he'll escape. If the back of his hand is lined up directly in line with his spine and I micro adjust, there. Now he tries to escape, and there is no escape. So it's really important that you recognize, you do this and you go, and he just twists out of it. You go, oh, no, that wouldn't work. Get your angle correct. It's down the spine. It's just like anything. It's like a dominant head position. If my head is on the spine, I have dominant control. If his head is in my spine, he has dominant control. It's the same principle. You don't think that because your technique is incorrect, the technique doesn't work. It definitely works. Okay, so let's just look at a few possibilities here. Okay, once again, 2 types of wrists, thumb inside and thumb outside. This is actually a much better grip, I believe, because for a whole bunch of reasons. If it goes the other way, for a start, 99% of the people who do wrist escapes work it from this here. It's very easy to get out of. Okay, even 2 hands there, it's very easy to get out of. If he really plants it in, use 2 hands to come up. But if he twists his hand around, a lot of those things don't work. So now I have to think about karate there like that. So if he takes that wrist lock there, good. I'm going to come here, look. And once again, I'm going to apply that same movement. So once again, thumb down, coming up, and I'm lining that up with the middle of his chest, and then I drop my elbow down there. And very controlling. You'll in competition, you'll get a tap. There like this. Tattoo it to my body. Come on up. See, my elbow now is in line with his forearm. If you were to look there, see how it's directly down his forearm. And then I just on his arm. The normal wrist grab, where it's that way, okay, I can come here. Look, uchi-uke, and then I'm just going to hit the top of his hand, boom, and I'm going to grab, and this is a different wrist lock. This is this rotating wrist lock here. So what you would do there, once again, he grabs, bang, come up, twist. Look, now I'm here, and I'm going to step in that direction and turn the circle. The body replacement theory says if I want to throw someone to the ground, the easiest way to do it is replace my body position with them. So if I want to throw Mitch to the ground and I stay where I am and throw him over there, I'm not going anywhere. But if I tell myself that I'm going to put Mitch exactly where I am by simply stepping out of the way, he just falls down. So that's a really important principle called I call it the body replacement theory. Okay, so it's the same thing here. When I'm going to do here, I want to throw him to the ground, so I simply move out of the way of myself and put him where I am. Boom. And he falls down. Okay, and you have tremendous control. Here's another ugly thing you can do. Look, take 2 fingers now. 2 fingers up, 2 fingers down. Why 2 fingers? If you're good, you can do 1, but there's always, because the 1 finger is a circular thing, he just rotates his hand. And just like when you're doing arm bars, like a juji gatame. Of course, juji gatame, they can rotate the arm out. From here, I have the jujutsu. I want to pull it towards his little finger. Okay? I'm going to pull it down like this. But if he rotates his thumb and then rotates his body, he can easily escape. That's called a hitchhiker escape. Okay, once again, I have this. Just as I'm going down, he rotates his thumb. Boom, come back. Watch his hand. I'm just going to get off so you can see it. He rotates the thumb away from the angle, and then he's out. So just as if you're good, you can manipulate a one finger hold, you can also manipulate the jujutsu so that when he starts to rotate like that, I simply keep pulling it towards the little finger. So he rotates. Now his thumb is down, his little finger is up. So all I do is I create a center of fulcrum that I can take that. And he keeps going. And I rotate. Keeps going. Rotate. And you can find 360 degrees of control of the arm. Now, you can apply the same principle here with the little finger. He grabs, I come up and I take the one finger. See that? If he starts to turn, I'm going to stop him from turning. And I'm going to come here. Now, if he starts to rotate, see, turn, get his finger out, you lose it. So what I need to do is micro adjust. So as he turns, I keep turning it as well. Now, the problem with that is as he's turning, I'm focused on this, he knocks me out with a punch. So what I like to do is go 2 fingers minimum. You can go 4, but it makes him too strong. Mitch is too strong. Yeah. Okay, but if I go 2 fingers, now you have a square base, not a circular base. So now I just come here and you can manipulate. You can put him down, take him up, anywhere you go, just on 2 fingers. Okay? And if you really want to be nasty, you pull his elbows in and you can snap the fingers like that. Okay? Now remember, use the Wally Jay principle, which is I don't just bend them down. I need to look, push it in as well. Push it in. So there's, and Mitch gets out of that. Again, he grabs my wrist, open my hand, uchi-uke, come up, control, replace my body. He grabs my wrist again. I can go this way now because I want the back of his hand facing the center of his chest, in line with the spine, not the shoulder, not the shoulder. So I come here now, and then as soon as I have his hand directly in line, I drop it heavily. Depending on how serious this is, if it's a training project with someone, of course you're going to be a good training partner and not injure them. But if it's some son of a gun who really wants to play with you, pulls your hand in, throws the punch at you, boom, you cover, drop down, come up, and then you're just going to snap it straight down and you will break the wrist. So you come here and you hear it. So he throws that, he pulls me in, throws me the punch. I'm just going to cover like that and then chop down, see the hand, chop down in the hand. Chop down, rotate up, and as soon as that hand is in line, boom, you drop it down like that, and that also works. Punch comes, I'm going to roll here, and then look, once again, that works really well too. Here's another way you can do that though. If you want to contain the situation where you're not throwing them around, look, control the elbow. Come in here. Now, look at the wrist. The wrist is bent. So I just pull the elbow in there like that. Boom. There, same thing again. Or if you want, this way as well. That's why when you grab, the judo guys will teach you to let the forefinger float. You don't get all your fingers involved, because if you get all the fingers involved, you can't get the hand out now. So they start to bend the wrist, and the next thing you know, you have a wrist lock like that. Pull it in there like that. Double hand wrist lock. Boom, open the fingers, hit, same thing again. There, take them down, and away they go. That's a pretty good little handful of possibilities. When you actually roll, when you grapple, and if you go pretty solidly when you grapple, you'll find a lot of wrist locks actually appear because guys are always reaching. Wherever there's something, when they're reaching for you, there's a wrist lock available. You know, they come in, they grab, yeah, boom. You're going to look for wrist locks all the time, and you surprise people by how vulnerable the wrists really are. So with this one, once again, I need to make sure that the flat of his hand is flat there, like that. Okay. If it's on his shoulder, he'll escape. If it's on his shoulder, he'll escape. I need it straight down the center. If he starts, because it's slippery, he starts to pull his hand out, what I'm going to do is take the two fingers and bend the fingers like that. Now I can control, I can push his elbow up and his fingers down. If you really mean, you take two fingers in one hand, two in the other, and you split the hand like that, boom, like that. That's pretty solid as well. But you can see that that wrist lock is super solid. And I might add, even in BJJ, you're not allowed to hold two fingers. You have to hold four fingers for clear reasons. Why? Because it's much, much stronger to hold four fingers. It gives them a fighting chance to get their hand out. Boom, bang. But two fingers, zero chance. It's just that easy.
Oh, when you do that, when you support the joint above it, in this case, the elbow, because it just changes everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, you also have, when they come in to grab, you're going to chop in, pop there, like that. When they grab, you can chop this way. See that? Look, when they come in to grab, hold the elbow and hit the wrist. Look at the hand. And you just get it in the pocket. So there you go. There are some great little possible wrist locks. And the way you practice them is with a partner and allow them time to apply the wrist lock. So I hold Mitch. I don't hold super strong. I just hold it. And then he works that wrist lock. And you take your time. And if he goes too far over there, I tell him that's too far over. Pull it. If it's too far over there, go, no. Then he finds it. And then you tap. I go to grab the sleeve. He grabs my sleeve. Like this. He grabs my sleeve there. Okay, once again, I'm going to trap it on my body there and drop it down. Okay, and then once again, you have that wrist lock. Remember, there are only 5 angles that you work the wrist lock. We have one this way, rotational one that way, one back this way, straight like that, and then underneath here like that. And these are all very debilitating. There are only 5 angles that you work your wrist locks, but there are probably 500 wrist locks. Okay? So anyway, that was a bit of fun. A bit of fun for me, not much for Mitch. But anyway, I hope you get something out of that. The wrist comes to you, you have an opportunity for a grab, for a wrist lock. Okay? Don't forget, you lock it to your body, palm heel right there, slow them down, and then you come in and you turn and control it like that. Control the joint beyond it. You have even, look, this one here is debilitating. But when you pull the elbow in, and Wally Jay, actually, he's like a magician. He was, 70s, and he'd use one finger and he'd pull the elbow in with one finger. And it was like, you're almost nauseous with pain. Just boom, there like that. Okay. 2 fingers here. I think he got me with 2 fingers and just walked around the dojo with, in fact, I think he did it with 1 finger. He just does it like that. Thanks for coming along again. Don't forget, please, if you haven't clicked subscribe, do so. That's the best way to help grow the channel. As people are realizing, maybe 10% of the people who watch are subscribers. The rest aren't. So subscribe, share it with your mates. Pass it on. Practice this stuff in the dojo. Just start off with the angles. 1, 2, like that. 3, 4, here, and 5. There. They're all really good angles to work with, and you can create good wrist locks. Find the grip. Doesn't matter where they grip you. Look for a way to manipulate it. That way. Release 2 fingers. That way. Control the elbow underneath. Okay, he grabs thumb down, wrestler style. Grabs thumb down, wrestles. The reality is, again, Budo works perfectly there. Bang. Okay, but if you want to control the wrist, what you can do is this simply come up straight like that. Okay, so there's some great stuff. Thanks, guys. Mitch, have you got anything you want to add?
When you control the joint, the next joint, it just,
Yeah, it's like anything, like a heel hook, an Achilles lock, anything. If you control the next joint past it, you'll get much better control. Okay. Thanks, guys. Us, good to see you again. And thanks as always, Mitch. Us, see ya.